So, just gonna film some fancy intro about how this is the official van tour and how I've been putting it off like I usually do. But it's raining, it's cold, and I'm losing light. So just roll it. Alright, so the first thing I want to go over is my shower, which doubles as my bathroom. It was the last thing I worked on, so it's the newest addition, and for the most part it was pretty easy. The hardest thing I had to do was lift the shower floor actually, because right underneath where the drain is supposed to go, there's a support beam on the van. So I had to reroute the plumbing, I had to go over and then down, and I had to lift the whole shower pan up by about 3 to 5 inches. And after that was finished, I could finally get to putting the steel studs in place, putting up the walls and the FRP board, and it was finished. Now let me show you some of the cool functions of this shower. You have an average shower head, you have the handles, hot and cold water, and you have a toilet. Now this is a Nature's Head compost toilet. It uses compost, which is coconut coir, basically in the bottom half, and it's pretty easy to clean. I used FRP board for the shower walls, and that's all waterproof, sealed up with silicone. And over here in the back corner, you can see kind of a vent right there, which is just filters out the air in the toilet, so there's no smell. You never have to worry about that. Let's see if I can get in here with you guys. Alright, so this is me inside the shower now. As you can kind of see, there's some headroom. I got about ½ inch of clearance right above my head, which is impressive considering how much I actually had to raise the shower floor for the drain to fit underneath it. But yeah, I mean, I can have full range of motion in here. I can spin around if I need to. That's pretty much it. It's a normal shower. Oh, and best part, forgot about this. Boom, right there. And it's self-cleaning. That's it. Next up, kitchen. Smaller than others, but just as capable. So it's really hard to narrow down favorites, but if I had to pick, this induction stovetop has saved me so much with all the cooking I've done. It's so efficient. If you know anything about induction stovetops, they're incredibly efficient and just practical for everything. I don't know why they just don't replace every other stovetop. They're not hot to the touch when you're finished cooking, they're super efficient, and they can boil water in 5 minutes if I needed to. And a bonus to this is that I can track how much power I'm actually using while I'm cooking based on the wattage. It has a readout for how many watts it's using so that I know how much time I have left to cook, how long I'm draining my batteries for, and how much I'm draining my batteries. Next to the stovetop, now we got the sink. I mean, it's a normal sink. I don't really know what else to tell you on that. So that pretty much covers everything else up top. I got, of course, cabinets for food, anything like that I would ever need. Now down below is all my plumbing. Let me take you there. So here's down below underneath my sink. You can see the hot water heater right there. That will heat up water in about 20 minutes. Uses about 1400 watts, and it's routed to the shower. So I can take hot showers, I can use hot water in the sink. Right here, I've got the drain from the sink coming down through a hole in the van, which is next to the vent, which routes from the shower down out the bottom of the van. Got a fire extinguisher, of course, safety first. So on this side, it might be a little hard to see, but I have my water filter right next to the hot water heater. Now that filters out water so it's potable. I can use it for drinking water if I need to. I can't even remember how many levels of filtration it has, but basically it's safe enough to drink anything out of that. So of course, back here is my bed, which also doubles as a bench, as you can tell. Now, I've gone over this in a past video. I've shown how it kind of transforms between this to the bed, but what I haven't really gone over yet is the storage underneath. Now, underneath the floor, there's actually a subfloor for storage. There's a lot of oars in that sentence. When I was building this, I realized that based on all the measurements, I needed the floor to be a certain height so that your feet would actually touch the ground when you sat on the bench. And there was a lot of guess and check with this, but after the cushions arrived, I could tell that my feet weren't going to touch where the floor actually was to begin with. So I had to raise it. Then allowed me to have extra storage underneath. Besides the subfloor, there's also storage underneath each bench, and that's why I made them benches so that you could also sit in them and have them double as storage underneath. Under this side, we have my water, which I'll go over in a second, and that includes the water tank, the water pump, and the hose, which I can refill from. On this side, we have my electrical. So we have 3 batteries, inverter, which I'll show you guys in a second too. In the interest of maximizing space, making sure I could double everything and have dual purposes for each function in the van, and overall just make it nice and open and not have the garage, which most people actually do end up using. I mean, you walk in and you have all this open space, and I don't know, I just didn't want to pass that up. I wanted it to feel as much like a home as I could make it feel. that's my kitchen table / bed. So this is my water bench. Underneath, you have the water pump, it's a SureFlow. You have another water filter down there below and my water tank. Now the water tank's about 3/4 full right now, which should last me about a week. I usually only have to fill it about once every week or a week and a half, depending on how much I use. And this hose that runs out right there leads out to the van, so I can bring out the hose anytime I want to, hook it up to a garden or any kind of spout, and fill up my tank. It's pretty straightforward. The plumbing honestly was not that hard. I basically used braided plastic line all the way up until the hot water heater, which was then when I switched to PEX piping so that I could handle the actual hot water and be more rigid just for structural integrity. So that's it for water. All right, so this is my electrical. I've gone over it before kind of briefly, but basically what you have are 3 100 amp hour AGM deep cycle gel batteries in a row, all hooked up parallel. After that, they're branch off into different areas. The positives go on one line, the negatives to another. There's various fuses in between each one just to make sure nothing short circuits or goes off in a bad way. Either way, they all lead up to either my DC power, which is hooked up right here, or my AC power, which runs through this inverter, which is a 2000 watt inverter. And along with all the fuses, I also have these kill switches like here to turn off power if I need to access any part of my system anywhere along the channel. Now the inverter is really nice because I can turn it on or off on a switch that I've plugged in externally out here. So when I need to use power, I can turn it on. If I don't, I'll turn it off. Now let me take you guys with me here real quick. So this right here is my charge controller. It runs the solar power out of the solar panels, monitors it, and kind of throttles the charge based on how much power the batteries actually need during the charging part of the day. This right here is my Noco Genius 15 amp charger. So what it does is basically draw in 15 amps at a time through an external power source. So there's an extension cord that runs out of my van. You can plug into any outlet and it'll charge my van through shore power. And of course, the tour wouldn't be complete without first going over my Skylight, which a lot of you have talked about, and it is one of my favorite parts of the van so far. So this is a Dometic brand Skylight. It basically has 2 methods of filtering out the light. If you want it to be a little shady, you can do that, or like gracefully pull that back. You can also do blackout, which looks like that. Obviously very dark. So yeah. It also opens up whenever you need to, so you can kind of lift your head out of it, let airflow in, and I don't know, just to be able to lay down here and like look up and see the stars at night, or kind of look at the clouds or whatever during the day. Either way, the view's amazing. It lets in a ton of light. I don't know, it was too hard to pass up, so I had to get it. So that pretty much covers everything inside the van. If there's anything you guys saw that I didn't go over well enough, feel free to leave a comment or a question below and I'll go over it in the next video. And of course, feel free to like or subscribe if you liked it, or if you actually want to see more videos, don't feel compelled to. But I will be making more videos in relation to more of the routine of van life compared to the parts of van life. I feel like there's so many things you can do and there's so many different parts you can buy when you're building out your own van. When it comes down to it, there's lists for that online in blogs or forums. And what I really want to make this channel about is more about the routine and just the lifestyle in general. As cliche as that sounds, I know it's heavily saturated already, but my point is to try and make it as realistic as possible. Go the ups and the downs of living in a van, the actual things that you wouldn't think you would need to do while living in a van, as far as like cleaning out a toilet or filling it with water or finding a spot to charge your van if you can't get enough sun during the week. Things like that I really want to dive into, go in detail, kind of expose them a little bit, draw them out more. And basically I want to show that to live in a van, you don't have to live in some picturesque mountain town all the time. You can be in the middle of Kansas, like I am right now. You can be in the middle of New York City if you wanted to. You can be in LA, on the beach, or in the city if you wanted to. You can do it wherever, as long as you know how to do it, where to find your resources, and just getting answers from the community like I've been able to so far. So with that, I'll see you all next video.